United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is 6 o'clock. I'm calling the March 3rd, 2025 project hearing. We're calling it to order. Purpose of hearing. The next item on the agenda is for the board to hold a project hearing on the proposed projects. If you are interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you have signed the sign-in sheet at the back of the room, which should include your name and address. After a presentation by administration and its advisors, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the project. At the hearing, we will ask that each person limit their comments to 3 minutes and the topic be limited to the proposed projects under consideration. Notices of this hearing was published as legally required. At this time, I'll ask the bond counsel to explain the purpose of this hearing.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kristen McClellan. I'm from Ice Miller. Under Indiana Code, anytime a school corporation wishes to spend more than $1 million on a specific building, it must first hold a public hearing that sets forth the maximum amount to be borrowed for each project, and that's why we're here tonight.
So I'm going to ask, and we'll now hear from our superintendent about the process of determining and communicating the project's community and the needs of the projects.
Yeah, thank you. We have 2 projects that we are proposing in the resolutions tonight. One of them is the building, or Resolution A, which is the HVAC projects with Van Buren, and then to complete the HVAC projects at the high school. So take 2021, when we did the high school bond project, we did the majority of the high school building. What we did not do was the science wing, the main gym, the aux gym, and the weight room. And so when we are looking at our priority list, obviously Van Buren has risen to the top of all of those priorities. It is a very dated system. And they are having and have had multiple issues with that HVAC system at Van Buren. And we have decided to also take care of the science wing and the gyms and the weight room at the high school to complete that HVAC project as well. Resolution B is an athletic site project or athletic improvements. We have not done any upgrades to our athletic facilities in quite some time. We noticed that our football field is in pretty poor shape and needed to be addressed. At the same time, our track needs at a minimum resurfacing. It may need replaced if they get in there and find out that it needs replaced. We also only have one restroom that is at one end, at the school end of the property, which has limited restrooms for the public to use. We would like to be able to expand that opportunity and build another restroom and add on a locker room and a concession stand so we could repurpose the current concession stand. We would like to upgrade our lights to LED for efficiency, and then we have a scoreboard that could use a little TLC, so we're also looking at the scoreboard in that project. We have communicated with the public the last 3 board meetings. On the last board meeting, we had Performance Services give us a general scope and range of both of those projects. We also had Ice Miller, our bond counsel, here to talk about the process, and we had Steeple here to talk about financial impact for the district.
We will now hear from Steeple Nicholas and Company Incorporated about how the proposed projects will be financed, as well as information about the effect of the typical property tax code.
Hello, good evening, Luke Rubin with Steeple. We serve as bond underwriter for the school corporation. This presentation is going to look extremely familiar and extremely similar to the presentation from a couple weeks ago. No real changes from what we talked about a couple weeks ago, but please stop me at any point with questions. So the first slide here is just the school corporation's outstanding debt. You can see from 2024 to 2025, you had some debt retire. You'll have some additional debt fall off in 2026, and then one final payment on the 2023 GO bond in 2027. At that point, the only bonds that will be outstanding are the 2014 bonds, which we're actually looking to refinance, and we'll talk about that here in a second as well. So this slide shows the school corporation's current tax rate, the different components that make that up. In gray is the operations fund. In red is the operating referendum for 10 cents. And then in blue is the debt service rate, and that corresponds to the debt service payments that were on the prior charts. Over the last couple of years, in 2023 and 24, the school corporations maintained a total tax rate of 0.5787. 2025, it dipped to just below 52 cents. And our goal with structuring these bond issues or this project is to make sure we're staying at or below that 0.5787 that Brown County Schools have been at historically. So first is the building projects, the hard and soft construction cost of $6 million. That matches the high end of what Performance Services showed at the board meeting a couple of weeks ago. We also have cost of issuance in there of $165,000, so a total borrowing of $6,165,000. And then in light blue is the site project layered on there. The high end there from that presentation a couple of weeks ago was $6,050,000. Again, cost of issuance of $165,000 for a total bond issue of $6,215,000. You'll see that, again, like I said, the goal is to make sure we're maintaining that 0.5787 total tax rate, but also leaving capacity in the future, knowing that this is not going to take care of all your needs for the next 20 years. There's always ongoing needs for a school corporation. So you'll see that you have some capacity again, beginning in 2028, if you so desire to do that. And these are just preliminary estimates on where the tax rate could be. We can shorten that payment up if needed, but this just gives you an idea to make sure that we're staying at that total tax rate goal, but also leaving some capacity for the future. So the legal parameters, this will be what's in the resolution. The first three slides are exactly what we just walked through. The total borrowing amount is broken down between cost of issuance and hard and soft project costs. Estimated interest rates of 2 to 6%. I'm sure if you pay attention to the news, it's been pretty volatile in the market recently. So if you sold the bonds today, you're at about 3.5 to 4% rate currently, and then the final maturity of January 15, 2036. That is the maximum that we're setting up these resolutions for. You saw in the previous chart is actually a 10-year term. You know, we're trying to be conservative, make sure we're protecting the school corporation and putting in conservative estimates for these maximums. And then the last two slides you'll see there, the one on the bottom is the net tax rate increase over 2023 and 24 rate of 0.5787, that is 0. And then the one right above that is the net tax rate increase over the 25 rate, which again, that dipped a little bit in 2025. The goal is to go back up to that 0.5787, so it would be an increase of just under 6 cents compared to the 25 rate. Lastly is the refunding analysis for the 2014 bonds. This is just a simple refinancing of your outstanding debt. There is $3,545,000 of outstanding principal on those bonds. Their final maturity of June 15/35, so about 10 years left. The average interest rate on that is just under 4%. If we sold the bonds today, we have a 3.16%, so even after factoring in professional fees, cost of issuance, that gets you to savings of about $75,000. So I think it's next meeting that will actually be authorized and will actually be taken on this. But again, just want to bring that up again and make sure that it's on your radar. If interest rates decrease, that means savings goes up for the school just like you would if it were to retain financing your home. So with that, that's all that I have on the project and the refinancing. Happy to answer any questions.
I have a question for you, Luke, and this
Yes.
may not be something that the blue bars, that particular bond, do you know what projects that covered, out of curiosity?
Do you know by chance the 2014 bonds?
I'm guessing it's the change the gym and the wrestling room. Does that sound right?
We'd have to go back and look, that was.
Actually, I know that I student taught in that building in 2014, and so that's why I believe that gym was finished at that time.
I can find the paperwork
Sorry,
and let you know.
it was just one of those curiosity questions,
Yeah.
so, sorry.
That's the only reason I can tell you what it is.
That was before I was even thinking about kids being in school.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We will now open the public hearing. Remember, if you would like to speak, please sign in, and the sheet will be located back there. As I mentioned earlier, we'll ask you to state your name and address, limit your comments, proposed projects and financing. Keep any comments to 3 minutes and avoid being repetitive if possible. May I have I've got it. Mr. Lewis.
Joel Lewis, 6709 State Road 46 East National, Indiana. Doug, you said a couple weeks ago that you had issues with the marbles going down the creek. I have more issue with the chemicals we're putting on that field. That field is not engineered to be a football field. It's a field. All those chemicals that we put on this year, I think it was over 300 gallons of chemicals just to try and do something with that field. I feel worse about putting that into the creek than I do about putting marbles into it. The turf marbles, I'm sorry. What's the bigger threat to our community? That or the marbles? Many in the community have expressed issues with taxes associated with this advancement. The taxes do not go up. But with this improvement, it allows us to host athletic tournaments, band, color guard activities, semi-pro football games, among other outside items that I have not in my vision. But those are all things that I know we have not been able to host because we did not use the field. Which brings us to my next. There have been many comments about how great the field used to be. The reason it was so good is because we couldn't use it. We were told we couldn't have athletic activities on that field. We couldn't have outside activities on that field. We couldn't have practices on that field. That's why it looked immaculate every year. I, for one, was told numerous times we could not do this, we couldn't host this. We can't do anything with that because it was not accessible. Yeah, it's going to look immaculate if you don't use it. The field will need some significant work either way, whether we do it to improve the field or we just bring it up to some kind of standard that's healthy. Why not go to the next level and do what we need to do? This field will be accessible to all of our community, and upgraded tech allows our community members to have the ability to walk, run, jog on the facility that's much better on the joints. What we have currently is not. The field becomes a safe location for all available ages. Marching, band, soccer, football, lacrosse, field hockey, whatever, it's all out open. The upgrades in lighting will lower the cost of operation while also giving the community, the school, the opportunity to set the mood for the stadium. Imagine finishing off 4th of July fireworks with red, white, and blue lights instead of just the white lights. Or if we're getting behind our community, blue and yellow on our field to support whatever activity we're doing. Upgrading the locker room, concessions, restroom area gives everyone an opportunity to do more. We currently have to walk 200 feet to get our pads, supplies.
7 seconds.
We need to upgrade. We need to be ADA compliant. We need to do everything it needs to be. Everything is within your control, and I believe that you're going to choose the right one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bell.
I didn't bring a bunch of notes, but I got you. I really just wanted to come and speak, not so much about the field, because the field, you guys have a decision, that's a great decision, it'll help our community in many ways. I want to kind of debunk the theory that football might not be a supported program in our corporation for the foreseeable future. You know, and I've worked at really small schools that have had football, I've worked at bigger schools that have football. Football's thriving in this community. It has a buzz like no other. And I'm not pointing fingers at people in the past, but one thing that probably just hasn't had enough support of is just people taking the right approach to give kids that opportunity to see what the sport of football will do. I've coached it my whole life, so I'm biased to what the benefits are, but it is by far the best team sport that can galvanize a group of young men and women, a big group of kids that can come together. Whether you're winning or losing in football, the joys that you have are so much more rewarded when you just have a fellowship with each other. I've been to every school the last week and promoted some football camps that I have coming up, and I can't tell you how many kids were just that buzzed and that excited about coming and doing something different. So as a football coach, my approach is a lot different than maybe others have been, and I really feel like when our program, when we start back up in this next fall and our opportunities come for kids, we're going to have a lot of kids joining this program that hasn't been that way maybe in the past for whatever reasons, but all I can control is where we are in our current situation. And, you know, as I said before, football will be the sport, but this field will give so many more kids in our community an opportunity to do something that they haven't had that much interest in doing. Whether it is football, whether it's soccer, whether it's any other kind of extracurricular activity, you know, I'm excited about this opportunity just to use it for our physical education classes. You know, where yes, we're stuck in the weight room a lot of our time, but we can go out and do, some more things on an all-purpose field that doesn't just hone in on one specific thing. So that was the real reason I wanted to speak, was that the football program is thriving. It is going to even see much more success than what we've had this year. I'm not a guy that looks at wins and losses as determining whether or not your season's successful. I look at numbers and I look at enthusiasm, and there's really a lot of thriving. We're just now changing our youth league, so we're going and playing in a completely different new youth league that we really think kids are going to be successful in. Parents are going to buy into what we're doing with our youth league, and ultimately we're going to give ourselves a better chance to be successful. Turf field will be great to do that. It'll sell it to the other communities that want to come and see what kind of things that we can provide kids. So that's all I ask. You know, the saying I had was, in Field of Dreams, they say, you build it, they will come. I believe if you build it, they will stay. And kids won't be leaving our school nearly as often as they have been, for the reason that we took a little pride in effort in wanting to make our program better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Gabriel.
First of all, thank you to the board for allowing this project to come this far and listening to comments from the public. Brian Gabriel, I'm a former student, alumni from Brown County, former football coach, football player, even a marching band as well. Back in the dark days of 2002, one of the projects we actually completed was the weight room, so I hate to date myself, but if you remember that 2002, we were making the first investment in our athletic facilities to create buzz around our programs. I think the football field would be a very positive thing. Again, the turf field, we should call it more generic, because it's not just for football, but for other events, sports, marching band. So really, I wanted to come and voice my support. My wife and I are lifetime residents of Brown County and always will be. And really, just I'm encouraged to see the continued investments in our community, our kids, facilities, and schools. I was very fortunate to be a Brown County alumni, go to a great college, and I feel like Brown County really set me off on a good path to do that. So I'm here very passionate about what you all are considering doing with the field, just to give opportunities, as Coach Bell said, to students looking for that place to fit in, whether it's football, soccer, band, anything like that. So I'll keep it short, but thank you for your time and allowing us to speak, and fully support the field and hope you will proceed today. So thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Tiernan.
John Tiernan, 2357 Grandma Barnes Road. This is my goal here tonight, to join in the excitement for this potential athletic project. I wanted to share my perspective as a Brown County youth basketball and soccer coach. This athletic facility investment has unified this community, and I think that alone is amazing, right? And while opinions have differed, this project has ignited the passion of the community, parents, coaches, board members, and administrators, and that's where a successful program starts, is passion, and that's how you maintain a successful program. Through this, it has prompted the formation of an athletic steering committee. Emily, thank you for doing that. I think that is important. It is my hope that the current athletic facility project and the renewed community passion will lead to more strategic long-term planning for our K through 12 athletic programs and less siloed decision-making. It will lead to data-driven decisions to retain and attract student athletes. Also, my hope is that through this we will understand how to future-proof our capital investments and limit our liabilities. Well, I'm here today advocating that we approve this funding. I also have some concerns with the current project plan. The need to align our capital investment with our operational capacity for the current turf project to increase the maintenance complexity with an operation that is already struggling. The potential for flooding frequency and the inability to secure warranties or insurance, I believe, puts the future of further athletic investments at risk, with a very high potential for unplanned costs in replacing the turf field. Furthermore, I think it is important to make this note. I thought it's good that we're looking at other sports like lacrosse and soccer. Soccer is the most popular team sport among Brown County youths right now. And it is worth noting that the current footprint of our track is very narrow. If you compare Indian Creek, Seymour, Bloomington, and Columbus, only 2 of those schools share soccer and football on the same field. It's Columbus East and Indian Creek. And both of those tracks are 20 to 35 feet wider than our current track. So I think it would be important, if we're making this level of investment, to plan for the future, plan for our soccer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you.
Mr. Schrader?
How's it going?
How are you?
I didn't type anything, so we're just gonna wing it. My name is Brian Schrader, 6210 State Road 46 East. I come here, I've been in charge and ran the youth football program for the last 6 years. I've helped John coach basketball over the years. I've coached soccer. I've coached girls volleyball last year. So you name it, I've pretty well coached it in this community. So, but I guess my point where I want to come to is twofold. One, over the last couple years, particularly last year, during youth football, we traveled all over the place: Edinburgh, Columbus, Indian Creek. Last year, what we call the senior team, or the A team, when we went to Columbus, there was 4 6th graders that lived in Brown County that were playing on that team. When we went to Indian Creek, there was 6 Brown County citizens that were playing on that team. And I know there is a financial attachment to each student when they leave this community. And I know that financial attachment goes to that other school district when they do leave this community. And I know my children's friends have all had students leave, and they're leaving for athletics. And whether you approve this or not, I'm here to tell you that the school board needs to take a stance. You have to invest in athletics, or you're going to continue to lose students. I've seen it. I've coached for the last 8 years, and I have seen my kids have lost probably 20 friends across my 3 kids that have all left, and they have left specifically for athletics. no other reasons. They've moved from this community, and some of them still live in this community, and they take their kids elsewhere. The second thing I was gonna bring up is they talked about the maintenance part of the field. Last year, there were holes throughout that field, and quite frankly, I'm shocked that the school has not been sued for someone breaking, not necessarily one of our kids, although it could happen, another opposing team. You know, we would, when doing intros, we would have parents stand in different spots so none of our kids would run through there and break their ankles before the game. And Mrs. Bobrink would attest to that because she's one of the parents that stood there. So I know that the field is atrocious. I mean, we traveled, we played on 7 different fields last year. Brown County is not now the only school in that league that does not have a turf field. And because of that, we were unable to host playoffs, stuff like that, which is all a way to generate money, not only for your school corporation, but your community as a whole. That brings in tourism, that brings in so forth, so on. So thank you for your time, and like I said, I just want to see an investment in the community as a whole, but the students themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else didn't fill out a piece of paper? You're supposed to fill one of these out if you want to talk. Okay, I would like to thank everybody that participated in the hearing. We appreciate your time and interest in the projects and the future of our community. Please note that this is just the first step in the legal process. The board will continue to work with the administration and its professionals to look for efficiencies to conserve tax dollars while meeting educational needs. Chris, there you go.
Sorry.
You're all right.
You will have several resolutions to consider tonight. The first resolution is the project resolution, which again, as we talked about at the beginning, anytime a school proposes to spend more than $1 million, it must first hold this project hearing. So the first resolution is the project resolution that is approving the buildings project.
Can I have a motion to approve the project resolution for building project?
I just want to reiterate again that any decision that's made here tonight is going after the bond money, correct? Not specifics of the detailed projects.
So the approvals tonight will give you the ability to issue the bonds if you so choose.
Okay.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Let's vote.
Doug,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Denise.
Yes.
The second resolution you have in your packet is the project resolution for the site project. Again, it contains the maximums for the borrowing, and again, it is because we're spending more than $1 million on this project.
Do I have a motion for the project resolution for the site project?
Move to adopt the resolution for the site project.
Second?
I'll second.
Vote?
Well, discussion.
Oh, discussion, my bad. Vote?
Doug,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Denise.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next resolution you have is what's called a reimbursement resolution. This is required under federal law, and what it does is it gives the school corporation the ability to pay for initial upfront fees before the bonds are issued from your operations or rainy day fund. And then once the bonds are issued, you can then reimburse those funds, but you have to have this in place in order to reimburse.
Can I have a motion to accept the reimbursement resolution?
I move to adopt the reimbursement resolution.
Any discussion?
Who's the second?
Vicky was second.
Any discussion? Let's vote.
Doug,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Denise.
Yes.
And this will be the adjournment of the project hearing. 6:29. Now I'd like to call to order at 6:29, the regular Board of School Trustees public session.
Before we do that, I just want to thank all of you for coming and being engaged. I really respect all the coaches and telling us what you think, and, you know, I don't play on the field, so I really appreciate all the information, and I appreciate having kids here. That's awesome. Seeing the process work. So, we've heard heard from so many people about this, and I have to agree that I think that it's really kind of unified folks. We're talking about things, we're talking about what we should do, and I'm just really excited about the future. So, thank you all.
Yeah, I would just add that, John, I appreciate your words. I think it is a blessing that everybody has come and come out, right, in unity. I do think this athletic ambassador steering committee, whatever we want to call it, is going to be a really great thing. A lot of people have expressed interest in it. Again, it's not an exclusive group, so any of you know somebody that would love to be a part of it, believe they would be a great addition to that team, please just reach out to me. I just think it is the silver lining. It's a blessing that's come out of all of this, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm excited about where we go from here. So again, I do think that's really kind of started the ball rolling on what the options are and what we can do in the future. So we're excited.
Now I'm gonna officially call to order.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
You guys don't want to stay for the boring part?
Do we have any modifications to the agenda?
We do. We have a consent agenda item, personnel, and it is the transfer. Helmsburg Elementary School Special Education paraprofessional Leanne Dinsmore to Helmsburg Elementary School General Education Teacher that's effective February 27th, 2025.
Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Any discussion? Vote?
Doug?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denise? Yes.
Do we have any recognition of visitors? Or motion carries, my bad. Do we have any recognition of visitors, comments from the audience? Don't have any discussion items? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of February?
Skip presentation.
We have a presentation.
That's what you stated.
We don't have a presentation. Do we have any discussions? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of February 18th?
Move to approve minutes from February 18th.
Second. Any discussion? Vote?
Doug?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Action needed items, I have the recommendation to approve the out-of-state field trip for the Round County High School History Club to St. Louis, March 21st through the 23rd, 2025.
Do I have a motion to accept?
I move that we accept the out-of-state field trip to St. Louis.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
What are we going to St. Louis for?
What's not to see?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to say. Other than the arch.
So the Arch, they're gonna go to the Arch, they're gonna go to, City Museum. It's a museum designed by architects and, artists, and so they're gonna go through that and bring their new hats, cause they're fall. And then we're going to Forest Park, where there's, I don't know, 6 different museums, from a museum of art to a museum of history, to an aquarium, to all kinds of things.
Is this a zoo? Are you getting on the Mississippi?
The zoo, yes, the zoo, this is at you, yes, the zoo, all kinds of things, like you have some options to go see and do.
Any more discussion? Vote?
Doug?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I have the recommendation to approve a donation in the amount of $170 from Brown County Board of Realtors for Holmesburg Elementary for Rachel Ware for students.
Move to approve the amount of 170 from the Board of Realtors to Helmsburg.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
Yes. Vote?
Doug?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Vicki?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Motion carries.
$151.42 from Kroger for Sabernicus gas supply account.
Move to approve donation of $151.42 from Kroger to Sperm.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Vote.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you, yes.
We love Kroger.
Doug?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I have the recommendation for Emily Tracy to attend TED 2025 in Vancouver, April 7th through the 11th, 2025.
Do I have a motion to accept?
Also do.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, this is, these were funds that were left over from the 3E grant, so I just want you to know those were grant funds.
Any more discussion? Vote.
Doug?
Yes.
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I have the recommendation for Emily Tracy to attend the Academy of Arts and Sciences Commission for Opportunities After High School in Boston, April 14th, 15th, 2025.
Do I have a motion to accept?
Move to approve.
I second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, this is also being paid for by the Academy of Arts and Sciences. If you remember, I was invited to be a part of this commission for Opportunities After High School. It is a national platform and incredibly grateful and honored to be a part of that. But the Academy is paying for this, not Brown County Schools.
Any more discussion? Vote.
Doug?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We have the ECA positions for the 24-25 school year at Brown County High School. The junior class sponsors, Ryan Snyder, Jenny Bowden, and Betsy Harmon. It will be split equally between. We also have the ELA academic coach, Cassie Contius, and the fine arts academic coach, Jamil Feller.
Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
What is ECA? Extracurricular activities.
Any more discussion? Vote.
Doug?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
And then I just have the consent agenda items with personnel, starting with the separation of Brown County High School second shift custodian Steve Bernard, effective February 26, 2025, through the transfer of Helmsburg Elementary School special education paraprofessional Leanne Dinsmore to Helmsburg Elementary School general education teacher, effective February 27, 2025.
Do I have a motion to accept?
I move to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? Vote.
Doug?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Superintendent's report.
Yeah, I will keep it short tonight. I just want from my whole heart and soul to thank the board for the support with moving forward with these two projects. I know the HVAC isn't always as fun to work through or to look at, and those are things that absolutely have to be done. But the athletic site improvements is very exciting, and I think the projects that are recommended or proposed are exactly what we need to be able to get some excitement back, just like Mr. Tiernan said. So I can't thank you enough for support of both and all of the recommendations that I have put through. We will, on March 17th, there will be some resolutions that you will approve that are just the legal steps to issuing the bonds. When we get down the road of really developing these projects, we will continue to use performance services for all of the HVAC projects because it is part of the Guaranteed Energy Savings Contract. They know our system inside and out in all of our buildings. It makes the most sense to use them for the HVAC projects. We are required as a school district to put out the athletic site projects for a request for qualifications, and we'll go through the design build process, which means we'll put out the scope of the projects that we have. We have to legally hire a design criteria personnel for this, and they will help take us through this request for qualifications process. So they'll push that out. They'll get all of the bids in for those. They will walk us through and try to narrow that down by the most qualified companies that they believe would do best for us. And then we choose a company, like Performance Services. Could be Performance Services, it could be somebody completely different, but it is that type of company. And then we'll take it out for the RFP and go through those phases. So that will be the next steps towards that. So I just wanted to give an update on that. I'm so proud of the high school and Mr. Sharoman and Mrs. Roberts. They held the incoming 9th grade information night. And I think, we've got 140 kids in the 8th grade class, is that right?
130, yeah.
130. We had 100 kids here with their families. This is my 4th year here at Brown County, and I have never seen that night like it was. And that is attributed to the intentional planning for that communication, and thank you so much.
And well done. I heard from an 8th grade parent, was super excited about everything that was to offer that night, so great job.
We have IREAD 3 going on this week across our 3 elementaries. So all of our 2nd graders and all of our 3rd graders take that test. This is the test that they have to pass, or they will be held back in 3rd grade. We do give it to our 2nd graders. If they pass it as a 2nd grader, they do not have to take it as a 3rd grader. We will be offering summer school for any of the students who do not pass, and they'll have another opportunity to take that at the end of the school year, right at the beginning of summer. So we will keep you updated on that, but please send good vibes to everybody that is involved with IREAD. Everybody. And then the calendars, I just wanted to give a quick update. We had talked about adding professional development days for the staff members to the next 2 academic school calendars, and sent out a survey if people, they wanted to do just 2 days, 3 days, or 4 days. If we chose 4 days, we would have to add another student day in, and just wanted to get some feedback across the whole district. So we have made a decision that we will go with 3 professional development days. They will be the 2 election days that we already have where kids are not here in session. And then we will use the February, which has typically or historically been the weather makeup day. It won't be a weather makeup day anymore. Kids just will not be here on that February day, but our staff will be here, and we will be able to provide professional development across the district. So excited about that. And I will bring that formal calendar to the board on March 17th so you can approve the changes formally, and then we will communicate with all of our families. But I will go ahead and give an update to our staff. And then I'll just wish a very much well-deserved spring break next week. I think a lot of people are ready, so thank you.
Thank you. Legislative update.
Yeah, so you might have heard legislative session is in full swing. We just, I follow this way too closely, so if you don't, we have a 4-month long session going on right now. We have finished the first 2 months. The last week, legislators took a vacation, and today they started back in the second half of legislative session. What that means is that each house passes their own bills, and now they've passed them, and now they go to the other house, and they consider the other house's bills. So you'll see the House considering bills that have a Senate bill number, and the Senate will be considering bills that have a House bill number. The good part of that is some of those bills, there were over 1,200 bills that started out in the legislative session, and lots of them died. So now we can actually put a microscope on the ones that have passed, really concentrate on the ones that are likely to become law, and try to determine whether we support or oppose those. Unfortunately, in education, we're often at odds with the Indiana legislature because they are often trying to, in some ways, micromanage. There are a couple of bills about what we should teach exactly, which really is the purview of the school board. We're always trying to tell them that's local control, that's what we're here for. But the biggest ones, of course, are funding. that comes in a number of different categories. And the hard part of this session is that the governor put out a budget, the House put out a budget, and the Senate put out a budget. And now we talk about it, and they're all different, but it will be the last week of April in which they will get a forecast of how much revenue they'll have next year, and then they will go into a conference committee, and they'll come out with some bill that we have no idea what it will look like. So we can talk to them all we want to right now, but it's still kind of theoretical until that last week of April. But that is when advocacy really hits, is that, you know, you've really got to make sure we're letting our legislators know what your opinions are. As that affects Brown County, bringing that down to our level, there are a number of cuts that are proposed that would reduce property taxes. Now, as a property taxpayer, that sounds really great, but always remembering that that money's coming from somewhere, and it's going to come from schools. Also, that the legislature loves charter schools and vouchers. They're probably going to pass universal vouchers, meaning that anybody of any income can go to private school using taxpayer money, and supporting charter schools, which I'm actually a proponent of school choice in a lot of ways. However, what that has done is that takes millions and millions of dollars and puts it over in those private education buckets. And that's money that no longer is coming to us as public schools, where over 90% of kids go to school. So one of the things that we're just, if you ever are talking to anybody, you want to advocate at the legislature for Brown County Schools, what can I do? We have two legislators who, they're our people. It's Eric Cook, who's our senator, and Dave Hall, who's our representative. And it's important that you write them an email, give them a call, send them a postcard, whatever it is, and say, I support Brown County Schools. I think Brown County Schools needs more money. I think public schools need more money. I think they need to hear that from many, many people, not just from a couple of us, but from everybody to say, we're really unhappy about that. One of the big things that I'm concerned about is one of the bills does in referenda, which we did last year, would require a 1-year wait between the time a referenda ends and the time you can ask for another one. Well, we had that, and it wasn't fun, as we all know, because we have 1.5 years in which we did not have referendum funding that pays for staff salaries. It's not something you want to go up and down. And then also for the general bonds, just as we just approved, they want to also have a year gap. So right now, money rolls off, we borrow more money, we keep our tax rate even. There are some proposals that then would make us wait a year before we would even be able to engage in this. So this is one reason we're in a big hurry. We want to make sure we get this done while we know what the rules are, and who knows what the rules will be in May. So anyway, that's just a little bit of background, but in general, our concern is that. The other bill that I've been lobbying pretty hard on, and I really encourage you to talk to your legislators about, is partisan school board. We are all elected as nonpartisans. We do not represent any party. And the partisan school board bill, this is the 4th year that they have tried to pass this, and it has failed every other year, but we just have to keep advocating. So this year there's a bill called SB 287, which is a Senate bill. It passed, but just barely, by 26 to 20, and you need 25 votes to pass it. Passed 26 to 20. Eric Cook did vote against it, which I very much thank him for doing that. And then the House had a similar bill, but they just never voted on it. So now they're going to consider the Senate bill, but that is still alive. And so they want to try to make school boards into more partisan places, and I personally don't think that's the way it ought to be. So it's an important bill for them to hear from you about. So those are kind of the biggest things that are going on. If anybody wants to hear about any more detail than that, let me know, because we really do need folks. Numbers matter with the Indiana legislature, so simply volume of calls, volume of postcards, and all you need to know is what the topic or the bill number is and support or oppose. And they'll come up at the end of the day and say, well, we had 10 against and 50 in favor. Well, I guess that's something people care about. So volume really matters.
So do you recommend sending 2 different emails, one regarding the funding and one regarding the person?
Yes. When you do your communication, each communication is on one bill only, because again, they're just kind of doing accounting of how many they get on each one. You can call, if you call the General House number or the Senate, You'll probably get a very nice intern who will take your message. It doesn't even have to be terribly personal. I do tell them I'm a school board member, but you know, it is just, I'm a member of the public, I live in Brown County, I'm a constituent of Representative Hall or Senator Cook. They really only want to hear from their own constituents. That matters a lot. And then you just say, you know, on Senate Bill 287, I'm opposed to partisan school boards, and you can say why. They'll say thank you very much. They'll take a note, put it in a pile, and count you up. But it really does matter when public gets engaged, just like we had here tonight. Like, as we know, we don't really have this many people in the room, so we're just really excited. When the public is engaged, that will absolutely affect public policy. So, anyway, that's my summary. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?